Welcome to 3-Point Summary. The ideas, opinions, and discussions of this podcast are those of the host, co-host, and guest, and do not necessarily represent the views of their respective employers or affiliates. Recording and propagation of this podcast is highly encouraged as long as an acknowledgement is given to the ownership. Music and graphics used in the podcast and promotional materials cannot be used in other events not tied to the podcast without the express written consent from Alpha Omega Advisors. Welcome to 3-Point Cyber. This is our summary edition. So we are now on episode number 3, summary, which basically what that means is this is going to be the summary of the 3 points out of the main episode number 3, which is a lot longer than this 3-point summary. And that's the whole idea of doing the summary, right, Andrew? So we could kind of compress it and get the 3 points right out real quick. Not to replace, remember, but it's not to replace the actual episode. You know, we have to push that because we don't want people to stop listening to the episodes. So exactly. if you want to, if you want someone to start listening to what we have and the people we have on and the summaries out there, that's a good place to get an idea of what we talked about during the real episode. But there's so much more in the episode with these guests that if all you're listening to is the summary, you're going to miss a whole lot of information.
Yeah, maybe we can think of it like a trailer.
Yeah, that would be good. So basically, this summary episode is against episode number 3. And Andrew, if you recall, episode number 3 was with guest Chuck Brooks. Chuck is a fantastic person to follow, to listen to when it comes to cybersecurity. He is very well known. Chuck has been named the top tech person to follow by LinkedIn, and he's recognized as one of the top 10 global tech and cybersecurity experts and influencers in the world. I guess that means global, doesn't it? That's kind of redundant.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes people need an immediate reminder.
Well, there's a lot. I tell you what, Chuck's got a lot of background. He's just very well known. He's on the adjunct faculty at Georgetown University, former adjunct faculty at Johns Hopkins. He is consistently being named as a top tech person to follow and being interviewed by high-profile media and magazines come to him when there are issues going on in the cyber field and they want expert opinion. And Chuck is the one that provides that. So in this particular episode, we kind of got right to the point with these 3 points. Let's play the 3-point segment of 3-Point Cyber.
Let's do it.
We just finished a conversation with Chuck Brooks, and it was really difficult to pick out 3 main points that we want you as a user to take from. And again, Andrew, this is called 3-Point Cyber, and the whole point of this is to pull out 3 points that if you take away anything from this podcast, this episode, these are the 3 things that we would like for you to take away from.
That is what we call it.
That's what we call it. So what do you think, Andrew?
Well, I'd have to say the first one, you got to invest in security.
The statistics show that if you do invest in security for your program, for your company, the probability of a successful attack is greatly reduced. And Chuck brought that up, and he has statistics that actually show that. The threat actors, they really do go after the low-hanging fruit, meaning that they go after the companies that aren't doing security well. So that's number 1, invest in security.
So that means we're going to number 2. And being a military guy, one of the things that I liked that he brought out was you got to perform the basics.
That's exactly right. Every company, everything starts, even all security teams start with the fundamentals. If you're not doing the fundamentals well, you're not going to be doing anything well. Cyber is a liability item for any company if you're not taking it seriously. Statistics will also show that the ones that are getting hacked the most are the ones that still need a lot to do in their programs and their networks. So that's the bottom line. Number 2, perform the basics. Let's head on to number 3.
All right. And number 3 is got to be education. Education is a positive return.
So with users as being the highest probability of incidents that can occur in your company, it is extremely important to be performing security awareness training for your users and for your organization. And that includes from your very basic user to your senior leaders. Senior leaders are big targets for threat actors, so they need to be understanding what the threats are out there as well. So yes, education can actually be a cost saver to a company, and that's all based upon if your company gets hit, the cost of remediating and correcting that from PR to technology to just resource time is going to be great. The cost of attacks are high and they're rising, and we have statistics that show that. So again, to iterate, number 3, perform cyber awareness training. Education does show to be a positive return on investment. So that's our final 3 points from this episode. Andrew, any last things you'd like to say?
I think it was a great talk with Chuck, and hope to have him back again soon.
Thank you for listening to 3 Point Cyber, a production from Alpha Omega Advisors. If you have questions about this episode or have a topic for discussion or a guest you would like us to have on, please email us at 3pointcyber@gmail.com. That's 3, the number 3, point, P-O-I-N-T, cyber, C-Y-B-E-R, all one word, 3pointcyber@gmail.com. We encourage you to share this podcast with others. This podcast is owned and produced by Alpha Omega Advisors. The theme song was created by music producer Andrew Van Wert in Nashville, Tennessee. This is Dave Summit, and until next time, keep on learning.